music on coast to coast, I love the boast. Pull out the heat, now I'm ready to roast. Pull out the drinks, I'm ready to toast. Ball man, drippin' fashion, I'ma ball till I die. Aiming high for the sky, whipping the pot, cooking the stir fry, don't lie. Wait, the real reason why niggas try. See me, I see you, looking in the mirror.
Yo, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy, Ladies Love Wade, with another reaction for the day. Let's get into it. So for the reaction video for today, we will be reacting to this YouTuber named Young Dun the Sauce Guy. And I have been watching him for a good little minute. Kind of fell off his videos for a while, but I'm trying to catch back up. Man has some great stories and some great artwork. I hear he got other people doing his artwork now, I guess, with everything that's going on in his life. Or I'm not even gonna speak for that man. He just, probably don't have time to draw for himself anymore. You get like that sometimes. But today I will be watching a video that's titled "He Stole the Only Thing I Love." With everything else, let's just get into the video.
Eventually, I decided to go and investigate, Started to climb up.
Also, make sure you got your water. It's good for you.
And at the very top of the hill was a small yellow house. I went up to the front grill and I started knocking on the metal bars separating me from the inside of the house. I knocked and knocked and knocked, thinking that Kevin was just...
I was mad living with you. I couldn't sleep naked.
Oh yeah?
Hell yeah.
I mean, you could have asked.
What?
Skip. Sorry, man. It's nothing personal. I'm just trying to get to the video.
And I'm about to go beat my meat.
So one summer back in Jamaica, I was about 11 years old. My mom packed me and my little sister up in the car and drove 2.5 hours out to the country to visit my auntie Paulette. We did this almost every year when I was a kid, and I really enjoyed it because I was a city kid. Grew up in Kingston. The country was a very different place for me. In the country, you go to sleep with the front door wide open without worrying that someone was gonna break in. You spent all your time outside because there was always more things to do outside than inside. And when you got hungry, all you had to do was look around and there would be some kind of fruit tree that you could go and pick fresh fruit from. But the thing I like most about the country were the people. People from the country live a simpler life. An honest life. Something about the city just makes people slimy and grimy, It's a cutthroat pace of life.
They just don't be caring. They just be throwing stuff
good
anywhere.
Food, good people, and good vibes. So after a long, bumpy drive to the country, my mom finally pulls up in my auntie's driveway at the top of a hill at the end of a long, windy dirt road. It was a big white single-story house with a red shingled roof. She had a big front yard with a pumpkin patch. And there was always this dog that would sit in the front yard and stare at you. This was not my auntie's dog. Nobody knew where the dog came from. It just came and went as it pleased. Still, my auntie would see the dog.
Get that dog out of here.
Because that's just what people from the country do.
Well,
they're all just
I don't know about my auntie.
Good people,
my aunties,
or at least
they might keep it.
That's what I thought. But as much as I love going to visit my auntie in the country, I never liked staying there too long because wasn't much there for a kid to do. And at the time, my auntie didn't have cable television, so it's not like I could watch the TV shows that I liked. This was also before Wi-Fi was a commonplace
thing. She got all the movies, though.
So, no internet. And even if there was, YouTube, Netflix, none of these things were invented as yet. And worst of all, besides my sister, I ain't have no one my age to play with, So 3 days.
Remember those days.
That's about how long I would last before I started trying to befriend the dog.
That's why I always take my game with me.
I named Fred. Why? Because he looked like a Fred. Duh. But this summer would be different. I was not going to be subjected to a week of boredom, but instead, my heart would be broken, and I was going to have my first true taste of betrayal. So one day, I was sitting on the steps at the front of the house, very bored, when I saw another kid my age walking past the front gate. At first, I wasn't going to say anything, but I couldn't let an opportunity like this pass. I ran out to the road.
Might not never have another opportunity to meet a friend your age.
Hey! He stopped and turned around. Hey! You live around here?
Yeah, I live up the hill.
Oh! Hey, you wanna play a game or something?
Okay, yeah. Let me ask my mom first.
Okay. Can I come?
I guess.
I should probably ask my mom first.
Wait,
can you wait?
I'm
I'm gonna come back.
That's
Let
how
me just tell my mom I'm gonna be down here.
Yeah, alright. Okay. And off he went. I grabbed the football that was sitting in the front of the yard and sat on the stairs and waited. Sure enough, eventually, this kid came running down the hill. His name was Kevin.
Oh, he got his animation like
was
that.
my new friend. And we played all day long. He showed me the different hiking trails around the area. He even ate dinner with us. And at the end of the day, Kevin went back home and I went inside. And for the first time, instead of worrying about how I was gonna pass the time, I worried about the day that I would have to leave my new friend from the country that I would probably never see again. The next day, Kevin came back down to play, but this time he brought his Game Boy SP. I had told him the day before that if he brought his game, we could play video games together.
I used to hate meeting those new
He only
friends
had
that
one
didn't know how to play the
game,
game.
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Of course, he had already beaten it twice over, so I told him that he could borrow one of my games. I mean, this was my new best friend. I opened my little pouch that I kept all of my video game cartridges in. I had like 6 or 7, and I told him that he could borrow any game that he would like, except for my Pokemon Emerald. That was my favorite game at the time, and I was very protective over it. He picked a game, and we started to play. Here we were. Two boys that barely knew each other, not saying a single word, playing completely different games.
I used to hate
all
going
the
in the
while,
bushes,
still
run into a fight
enjoying
all the
each
time.
other's company. Do girls have anything like that? I wonder. Eventually, we probably switch back to playing soccer or spend time throwing small rocks at bigger rocks. Who knows? Who cares? We were just boys being boys. The third day wasn't much different from the last. Kevin came down the hill. We played some video games. We played some football. And when the sun started to go down, Kevin had to go home. But this time, Kevin did something new. He asked me for a favor. Like I said, Kevin only had one game, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. On the third day, he asked me if he could borrow some of my games overnight. He had never played any of the games I had, and he wanted to try some of them out before I left. At first, I wasn't sure, because these games were the most valuable things that I had.
That's when you gotta be
but
like, let
he
me
said he
borrow
would
one
leave
of
this
your
Kirby
games
game
as
as
well.
some form of insurance, and
Facts.
I was interested in seeing what this whole Kirby thing was about. I told him he could borrow any 3 games.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to do something with my storage, but I refilled up on my water.
He chose Sonic Advance, The Legend of Zelda, and my Pokemon Emerald. And I ain't gonna lie, man. At first, I was hesitant about lending him my Pokemon game, but I had beaten the game a while ago, and I wasn't playing it much. Worst case scenario, he was gonna start over the game, which I was already close to doing anyway. Plus, Kevin was an honest, good country boy. I mean, he meant
never
no
give up
harm.
your best
So,
game.
after thinking
Just
it
in
over,
case.
I let him borrow all 3 games. I remember going to bed that night and
he
playing
got an easy
Kirby
finesse.
and the Amazing Mirror. I'd never heard the name Kirby before this game. I liked Kirby. The next
Kirby
day,
was lit.
just like the 3 days before, around 11 a.m., I went and sat outside, waiting on Kevin to come down the hill. 1 hour passed, 2 hours passed.
He didn't
Before
win the
you knew it,
games,
it
I'm
was the
trying
middle of
to
the
tell
afternoon.
you.
Still,
I'm trying to tell
no
you.
Kevin. Now I was starting to get worried.
He gave
Because
3 new
this
games
dude
for the price
had
of
my
1.
Pokemon Emerald. And I wasn't
Easy
about to let him
finesse.
borrow it for 2 nights in
Easy
a row.
finesse.
Eventually, I decided to go and investigate, you know? Started to climb up the hill. And at the very top of the hill was a small yellow house. I went up to the front grill and I started knocking on the metal bars separating me from the inside of the house. I knocked and knocked and knocked, thinking that Kevin was just somewhere inside, fully consumed with playing his new games. I mean, could I really blame him? Eventually, the front door to the house opened, and out came an older woman who looked very annoyed. Excuse me, little boy. Can you tell me why you bang on my gate? Oh, I'm sorry. Is Kevin home? Oh, okay. You're Kevin's friend. No, baby. Kevin went back home. Back home? What do you mean? Doesn't he live here? Oh, no, baby. He was just visiting for the week.
I told you.
What? He was just visiting for the week. He left this morning. Him never tell him was leaving. Never tell him was leaving.
He knew he was leaving.
Immediately it started to sink in. Kevin was gone, and he took all of my games with him, including my Pokemon. I had been finessed, betrayed. Of course, I wanted to be mad. But to
Ain't
be
gonna count.
honest,
I did some junk
this
like
was
this
the same
before.
Pokemon game that I had stolen from this other kid. That was one of the very first stories I told on this channel. So, in a
I
way,
did it on accident
I
though.
kind of had it coming. And even though I felt like bro did me dirty, he did save me from being bored out of my mind for a few days. And he left me a new game that ended up being really fun to play. Moral of the
For
story, be careful who you trust.
Facts.
And remember, appearances can be deceiving. Because the only difference
Had to
between
learn
the
that
saint
plenty of
and the
times.
sinner
The hard way.
is a good reason. Every night she been working overtime. All this time, shawty still don't feel alive.
Well, that's the video for today. I can definitely relate to this as well. I've done it. It's happened to me. One time, it was this one time, it was like with the PSPs, the little handhelds. It was this dude, this little boy I knew, and I can't remember how old we were, but we were like young. I think we pretty much was like middle school, elementary school. I can't remember, but dude had a game and had a PSP too, and I was like, oh, dude, you know what I'm saying? And he had this game, this Assassin's Creed game, and I've never like back then I was real heavy on Assassin's Creed, and but I didn't know they come out on the handheld games too, so I was just like, shoot, let me try it out. And what happened was I was playing it on the PSP, and then I sat it down, and then I went to play it on the system. I think he had like an Xbox at the time, Xbox 360 or something. And what happened was, when it was time, we had been playing the Xbox for so long throughout the day, I had totally forgot about it. And my PSP, so when it was time for us to leave, we left, and you know what I'm saying, you know, the whole little trip back to the crib. At first, I was finna fall asleep, but after a while, I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna play my PSP going back to the crib. So when I started up the game, Assassin's Creed popped up. And I was like, oh no, I done took this very game. Oh well, I got me in the game. So I was just like, but I was trying to bring it back to him, but you gotta understand, I was young, so it wasn't like, oh, I could just hop in the whip or get on the bike and come to him. He didn't live in the same city or town that I stayed in, so it was just like, I don't know when I'm gonna ever see him again. But it was actually one time I actually got a chance to come back to his house. It was like maybe like maybe like I want to say years, but I don't think it was like, well, I want to say years, maybe a year, but it could have been that long. It's probably like some months or something like that, close to a year. And I told my dad, could I ride with him? And so I had the game ready to give it back to him to tell him the story, how it happened. But I ended up falling asleep the whole car ride. And by the time, and my dad didn't wake me up when he got to the crib, to the boy house. And so when I woke up, we was like almost back home, and I was just like, yo, did we stop there? He was like, yeah, but I let you sleep in the car the whole time. I was like, are you serious? I was like, you left me in the car the whole time you went to go visit them, and I said, well, they just ain't even wake me up or nothing. Well, so if that boy that knows me from those years, all those years ago, and you just, you know what I'm saying? You finally know the reason why. Why you didn't, I don't know if he feel like I stole it, or he forgot it, or he lost it. But yeah, that's the whole story behind why you couldn't find your game, or why I took it, or, you know what I'm saying? I tried, but I failed. So yeah. So if you're watching this video, I apologize, and now you know why. But if you made it this far into the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please. Thank you. Hope to see y'all guys in the next reaction video. We're gonna keep on running it up till we get to that 100 subscribers. 100 subscribers. 200, 300, 400, 500. All the way up to a mil. And everything else. Let's get to it. See y'all next time. Peace.
Haters mad, I'm up next. Bossed up by the flex. My music going coast to coast. I love the boast. Pull out the heat, now I'm ready to roast. Pull out the drinks, I'm ready to toast. Ball man, dripping fashion.